I had, three promotions in 1 year. I drove a luxury vehicle. I was married to an extremely handsome young man. And I had a brand new daughter who was 2 years old, about to turn 3. So on the outside, things looked great, phenomenal. Looked good, smelled good, everything was good. However, on the inside, I felt like walking death. I had decided that I wouldn't be living, so I was going to take my life in January 2013. It helped me to realize what most of us are missing. Number one is purpose, and number two is clarity of intent. We have no clue what we actually want. You can ask somebody, you go on the street and you ask 10 people, what do you want in this life? And you will get 60% of them incapable of answering that question. So I created Got Value to show folks no matter where you are, no matter what you've done, you still got some value. And if you can tap into that value, you can change not only your life, but the lives of those who you were meant to touch.
What's good, everybody? It's your guy, JoJo Simmons, and welcome to the For Good podcast, where we focus on the good, never the bad, where we're measured by what we do, not what we have. Today, I'm sitting down with Alechia Reese, a transformation coach, international speaker, author, and host of the Trigger AF and Got Value podcast. From surviving domestic violence to breaking generational cycles and helping executives and entrepreneurs align their success with fulfillment, Alecia's work is all about building lives that not only look good, but feel good. Let's get into it. Thank you, Alechia, for coming on to the For Good podcast.
Hey, thank you for having me.
How are you feeling today, first of all, before we get into these questions?
Listen, life is lifing, but you know what? I'm a part of the wake up list, so I'm not going to complain, although I could.
It's all good. Life happens for you, not to you. Always keep that in mind. So no matter what you're going through, it's all supposed to happen. Trust me. Let's get into it. For those who don't know you yet, how would you introduce yourself today to my follower base, my fan base, my listeners?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a spark plug. Like, I am a spark plug. I help folks make intentional and take intentional actions to create a life that they choose and not a life that they accept. Like, you can either take what people give you, or you can decide, like Jay-Z says, and I don't care what nobody says, greatest rapper alive. But he was like, I have no desire to go with the flow. I am the flow. And so I teach people how to harness their own energy, their own desires, their own intentions to create a life of their choosing.
Wow, just off the first answer, you said my favorite word, and that's intention and intentional. I'm very big on intention. I'm very big on, if you're gonna do something, do it with intention and make sure that you have a reason on why you're doing it, and a reason on why you want to, present, go to that kind of space. So like intention is big for me. And I think intention is big for people to, to see success. Cause, one thing I always remember is being a kid in one of my friend's mothers was like, never drive around aimlessly, because if you have no aim or no target, then there's really no plan, and that's always a appetite for destruction, right?
Yeah.
So I think being intentional is always one of the biggest things that I try to tell these young dudes now growing up, is like, have a plan, but have an intentional plan, have an intention, right? So I love that you use that word, and that's what you do.
Absolutely.
From corporate consultant to author to transformation coach, which role feels most natural for you? Like, I wouldn't say what's your favorite, you probably love doing them all, but what's the one that feels like, this is just so me, this is natural?
Transformation coach. It really does excite me to see people go from having no clear vision to deciding, hey, no, this is what I want to experience. This is the type of life and lifestyle I want to lead. And then making decisions and making choices, and then taking action up against whatever that is. When I don't even remember how old I was. I just know the year was 2012. I had decided that I wouldn't be living past January 2013. Like, for me, I was done with this whole life thing. I felt I had nothing to offer, that there was nothing about me that made sense for me to stay here. So I was going to take my life in January 2013. I met a young girl in December 2012 who looked on the outside how I felt on the inside. On the outside, I had a brand new home built from the ground up. I chose the tiles, the marble, the everything. I had, 3 promotions in 1 year. I drove a luxury vehicle. I was married to an extremely handsome young man. And I had a brand new daughter who was 2 years old, about to turn 3. So on the outside, things looked great, phenomenal. Looked good, smelled good, everything was good. However, on the inside, I felt like walking death. And I met a young woman who looked how I felt, And I asked her, can I help you? And in asking her, can I help you, it helped me to realize what most of us are missing. Number one is purpose, and number two is clarity of intent. We have no clue what
Mm-hmm.
we actually want. You can ask somebody, you go on the street and you ask 10 people, what do you want in this life? And you will get 60% of them incapable of answering that question. They can tell you what they don't want, but not what they do. And so for me, when it comes to transformation, when I met that girl and asked her, can I help you? In 6 months, not only did she have now her high school diploma, she had an idea of what she wanted her life to look like, but she also had a place to live. There was so much clarity that was able to happen in 6 months. I was like, yo,
Mm-hmm.
her entire life is now transformed because where she was going and where she is now are polar opposites simply because I assisted her in providing a path. This is before the company, the business, none of that was even a thought. But that transformation, like all day, every day transformation coach, you wake me up and like, hey, I need you to help us get from A to Z. Got you. I can create the plan to get there.
I love that you do that for people, and I love that there's a lot of people out there that were just like you. It looks all great on the inside, but on the inside, it looks all great on the outside, but on the inside, they feel there's no purpose, they feel there's no intention, they feel like they're just kind of going through the motions. And it's funny that you say you ask a lot of people. Well, not funny, but it's interesting that you say you ask a lot of people what do they want and they don't know, and that's because most people just want to survive, right? Most people just want to wake up every
Yeah.
day, pay their bills, and just be able to eat and survive. But that's not what they truly want. That's what they need, right? But what they truly want out of life is something you can go after. But it
Mhm.
takes that transformation. It takes that person to help you transform. So what the work you've done not only with that young lady but with other people is it's amazing because people sometimes they just need um the information. They just need that person to tell them that you're not being all you can be, and there's a way to be all you can be. It's about choosing who you want to be. You can either choose to take what, like you said, take what life gives you, or choose to take life and live it the way you want to live it. So I think what you're doing is important. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
But the thing
um
about that piece though is it takes effort. And if we keep it a
yeah.
buck, most people don't want to put forth effort because that means you have to do something that may make you
Hmm.
uncomfortable, that may
Yeah.
disrupt the norm, that may pose a risk. And most people are like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, trust me. Hard work. A lot of people don't. Some people look at hard work like it's work, but if it's work that you're putting in on yourself, it's an investment. That's what I always
Absolutely.
say. Like it's not work when you're investing into yourself, because the results of that is only a better you. So whether they look at it like work or they look at it like an investment is that's up to them.
Yeah.
Um, One thing I love you say, you often talk about helping people build lives that look good and feel good. I always say that too. I look good, I feel good, I smell good, everything's good. What does that actually mean in practice to you?
In practice, like I said, I literally I lived it. Like I don't teach anything that I haven't experienced. I'm not that type of person who
Mm,
those who can't do. Nah, I do,
right.
therefore I can teach. And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, if on the outside you got it going on, you traveling, you got, awards, you making the money, you doing the things, but on the inside you're anxious, you're sad, you're lonely, you're mean, you're nasty, no disrespect to my, mean-spirited humans. You are incredibly sad. Like if you have all of those polarizing experiences where on the outside, you look at it, you read off your resume, you read off the things you do, and it sounds great, but on the inside, it's a consistent theme and thread that you cannot seem to get yourself out of bed. You're having to always pump yourself up. And I understand that there are lots of things that are happening that could cause that. And also, if it is a consistent thread and theme through your life, then that means your life looks real good, but it feels real bad. And you can choose
Mm,
to accept that. Like if it's working for you, hey, I don't force grown people to do nothing they don't want to do. However,
yeah.
if it is not working for you to where you literally feel every day that doing the simplest things is a challenge for you, then I invite you to explore what different could be for you.
Mm, yeah, that's amazing. And I think that's probably why people probably come to you. They feel the authenticity because they feel there's somebody they can relate to that's been through it, that's speaking through testament, right? Speaking through experience. So that's the main thing that's important is that you can not only say, not only give advice, but say you lived exactly what they're going through. So that's really dope. Uh, You've also worked with big brands in corporate, entertainment, and media. What lessons did those experiences teach you about alignment and resilience?
Ooh, baby, baby. I learned a lot. First thing I learned, everything that glitters is not gold. And I know, like, we
I
want the
love.
glittery stuff. You know, we like it shiny,
Mhm.
especially me. Like, I like
Yeah,
to
we
tell
do.
you, I like nice things and nice things like me. And
Hmm.
also, everything that glitters isn't gold. And some of the things that you ask for, you truly aren't prepared for. And because you haven't worked on yourself enough, you can't even manage what comes with what it is that you're asking for.
Mm.
And so don't be so quick and get so frustrated when sometimes you feel you don't get a certain thing because you may not be able to manage what that thing is. And it's not that you're incapable, it's simply you're not ready. It's kind of like baking a cake where you can have all the ingredients to make the best strawberry pound cake imaginable. However, if once you've put all those things together, put it in the oven, if you take it out too soon, you turn it upside down, it's going to spill out. Not because it didn't have the
Hmm.
capacity, the ability, all of the
It
ingredients,
wasn't ready.
it was not ready. And so, what I've learned in
Mm.
working with those big brands, some of them were highly successful. They are still here. Some of them are no longer in operation, not because they were not good. And these are major names. It wasn't because they were not good. It was simply because the timing was not right and they were not ready. Or heck, sometimes I was not ready because we got to call a spade a spade. You got to own your ship, okay? You got to own
Hmm.
your stuff. And so, understanding what readiness is and being okay with no. And I know that's something nobody likes to hear. Me too. I don't like
Nope.
that. Don't tell me no. I don't like that. Call me spoiled. It is what it is. And also, no sometimes is a yes for what you truly want, for what you truly need. So
Mhm.
be okay with that.
Ooh, you ain't here preaching, girl. You ain't here preaching. She ain't here dropping bombs and gems. I love it. You speak so well, and I see that you co-host the Triggered AF and Got Value podcast. What inspired you to start those platforms, and what conversations are you most passionate about sparking on those platforms?
Ooh, my so Triggered AF is one. Triggered AF podcast is one that is with my co-host Danny Bordeaux. She and I, we went to college together. We have seen each other through some of our darkest moments, from miscarriages to divorces to weddings to the birth of children, and we've seen ourselves through so many different phases of this life thing. And the one thing that has been constant between she and I is we challenge each other to do better, to be better. We'll call each other to the front of the class like, "Hey, yo, I love you, and also
I love
you need to do a little better." And so what we noticed
it. Hmm.
during the panorama, and I call it a panorama, but during the panorama, we noticed there were so many people who were triggered and who were festering and sitting in such pain and sadness. And so we were like, well, what if we were to take the conversations that we have with each other to help folks overcome their triggers? Because you can either deal with your triggers or your triggers going to deal with you. Either
Yes.
way, you get to choose, because I am all about conscious, consensual choice. And so we started having conversations, from race conversations with a white dude talking about, okay, what is it about young white men as to why they have a proclivity, not always, they have a proclivity to, when I'm upset, I shoot things. And then we had conversations with married men, what is it sometimes when you get so irritated with your current circumstances that you decide to bring people in that disrupts your home and disrupts your life? What is it sometimes with women who are high achievers, to where, yeah, you're a high achiever, but you mean, you nasty, and nobody can work with you? Like those
Mm.
type conversations that many people don't want to have, we have them. And so for Triggered, it was always a no, we want to break, like, you have to disrupt the pattern. And energy, once in motion, will remain in motion. You have to disrupt it. And so for us, Triggered
Mhm.
AF came in to disrupt that, to provide an alternative. And we don't just vent, we provide actual tools because we're both coaches. And so, okay, hey, this is the issue. Get it, got it, great. Now, hey, here are some tools that you could use. Take the meat, spit out the bones. What works for you works. What doesn't, move that along and keep it pushing. So that was for Triggered. And then for Got Value, for me, like I said, because I lived through an entire, 20 years of my life where I felt like I had no value, my plan to end my life was because I literally felt as if I had no value. I had nothing to offer the world. I felt that my daughter, I was worth more to her dead than alive. That is the furthest
Mm.
thing from the truth. but I literally felt as if I had no value. So I created Got Value to show folks no matter where you are, no matter what you've done, you still got some value. And if you can tap into that value, you can change not only your life, but the lives of those who you were meant to touch.
I love that. You started two platforms that matter, one with the uncomfortable conversations that need to be had, and then one that's really, inspiring people to let them know that they have value and that they mean something because a lot of people do need to hear that. So I love that. And that's the, same reason I started this podcast, the For Good podcast, was to only push out positivity because I feel like, we're always hearing all the negative stuff and we're always hearing other things, but we're never hearing the inspirable stories. We're never hearing the everyday working person. We're never hearing the everyday transformation coach that really went through it to get to it, that had now is able to do it for others and lead others to the water. So like that's why we started this platform, just like you started your platform, is really to amplify the things that need to be spoken about, right? And that's ultimately what we want is we want these conversations to really inspire people and really make people think and really join in on a lot of these conversations. So I think that's great work that you're doing for sure. um I see that you also earned your MBA. Congratulations. That's no small feat. Um, how has the education shaped the way you approach your work today, whether it's coaching leaders, building businesses, or hosting conversations?
Yeah, so for me, I believe everything is a tool, right? I came from really impoverished beginnings. When I was born,
Mhm.
instead of taking me to, a beautiful, nice home, my mother brought me home to a shack. There wasn't a nice house to bring me home to. It was a shack, and that shack was infested with rats. One of the nights, my mom, she found a rat in my bassinet, and then that day, she made an intentional decision that she was going to do whatever she had to do to get us out of that situation. She worked 3 jobs, and she was able to save enough to put a down payment on a house that we were able to live in for 15 years. Yes, it was in the ghetto, but it didn't matter. It was better than that shack. So
Mhm.
for me, she had always told me not having it is never a reason to not go get it. And because
Mhm.
of where we were born, we would need something else to get us out from where we were, whether it was some amazing skill or talent or education. Again, I told you I had self-worth issues, so I didn't feel as though I was talented. So I said, okay, I'm gonna have to choose education. So I simply chose education. And then I leveraged and used that to just keep upskilling. Like for me, there is nothing I can't learn and nothing I can't do if I decide I'm going to do it. So I just simply use education as a tool. And it's not for everybody, and everybody should not go to college because it's very expensive if you don't, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying, know what you want to do with it. But for me, I just use it as a tool and as a relationship building avenue. So like, okay, I can meet these people, I can do these things. Where can we either partner, collaborate, or just, add value to each other?
I love that. Education is a tool. So all the youngins that listen know that education is a tool. Like you said, like she said, not everybody should go. Maybe it's not for everybody, but if you do go, use it as a tool because definitely knowledge is power. I know that sounds very cliche and old, but as I get older, I read more books and I want to learn more words and I want to learn, just from people. Knowledge is definitely power, and it's the powerful part about knowledge is the the opportunity you have to pass it on to people that don't know. So that's the power in knowledge, and that's what I love about education. So dope that you got you found your way with that and found other ways to use it. So that's amazing. Um, I want to get into some little some vulnerability questions here, some personal growth questions. You've shared openly about surviving domestic violence and later realizing that you were repeating some of those same cycles. What was the turning point that helped you break free from those cycles?
A couple of them, actually. So I was married to my abuser. However, that wasn't the first person who had abused me. That wasn't my first domestic violence relationship. And I always say it can't always be everybody else. If everybody around you and it just keeps happening to you, you are the common denominator. So again, let's call a spade and tell ourselves the truth. So for me, I had to tell myself the truth, and I was like, okay, my level of self-worth, you know how people say, oh, self-worth, I got a lot of self-worth, a lot of high self-esteem. Polar opposite for me. I had no self-esteem and I had very low self-worth. And so I would choose abusive men like children chose candy because I grew up in a very abusive environment. From physical
Mm,
abuse to sexual abuse, it was just a lot of abuse. And so for me, I correlated that to love. And so I would seek that out because that is what I thought love looked like. And so the first turning point was literally when I was planning to end my life. I was like, but
Mm,
everybody doesn't experience this. This isn't
mm,
something that happens to everybody. So if everybody doesn't experience this, there has to be something different that I can choose. And I had the young girl I had worked with, her name was Naomi, and I say her name often. From the program that I created for her, I actually turned that into a nonprofit organization. I created a program called Life After Foster Care. Now What? Within 6 months of me working with her, we were partnered with the UPS Foundation, Miami Marlins, the City of Miami Gardens. We had celebrity folks who sat on our board of directors, all the things. I had won an award for my work with foster youth, and I was separated from my ex-husband at the time, and he brought our daughter home, and I guess he saw the award behind me, and he looked at me with this hatred, and he was like, you think you all that, but you're nothing but a piece of ish.
mm.
And then he started to, I don't know how it escalated. We started arguing that he reached back to punch me in my face, and my daughter, because I guess he didn't realize she was still there, she came and got in between us. And I was like, and she started telling me, don't talk to my mommy that way. That is not okay, Daddy. You need to leave. Mind you, this little girl is 3 years old or about to be three.
Mm,
And I was like, this girl got bigger balls than me. Like,
mm,
she can say things.
she love her mama. She love her mama
Listen, but she was stronger. She had more wherewithal, more of a presence, more confidence than I had at 20
as
plus.
a kid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, that was the first thing. And it was just like, yo, wait, if she can do this, then I absolutely can. But she could just throw her little cell phone out the way. So if
Yeah.
she is, unafraid, I can be too. And then the last straw for me was he followed my ex-husband followed me from our home all the way down, and I lived in like Fort Lauderdale, followed me all the way down to Miami with his shotgun. My girlfriends saw him following in the car, and I was like, no, 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 he's at home. He's with our daughter. And they're like, nah, he's in the car. And I was like, what? No, not possible. I called my sister. My sister's like, oh, no, he has the car. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I asked her, I was like, hey, can you check to see if the gun is still there? She checked and she said, no, no, it's not there. I stayed at my girlfriend's house that night because I said to myself, I was like, okay, I no longer want to end my life. I feel as though that I have value now. There's something that I want to leave the world, and I'm not ready to leave yet. So I need to make a different decision. I went home that next morning. I talked to him and I asked him, well, what was your plan? You had the shotgun with you. What was your plan in following me? And he told me he had planned to take my life. And I said,
Mm,
okay, I'm done. You got a week. Either you get out or I get out. You can have the house, you can have the car, you can have everything but my child, but I gotta go. For me, that was the catalyst to like, yo, this is you playing around. Like you acting like people won't end your life if you keep accepting this type of behavior. So I ended it
yeah.
right then and there. Like, oh no, there no other discussions need to be had. Like I'm good. I'm done. We're done.
Wow. So growing up with those experiences, how did you begin that process of breaking those generational cycles for yourself and your family? Your daughter. Like, I know it's a process after saying I'm done. What was the process like? How was that for you? For anybody listening that may be going through that same process.
So first of all, a piece that I feel that not enough people talk about. So my ex-husband was paying all the bills. Like unless again, I'm a firm believer in keeping it a buck. I'm a straight shooter. I don't like to fluff it. Um, you have to make money to sustain yourself. There is a level of financial abuse that sometimes abusers will wield over you and will use to control you because you don't make money. I wasn't making
Mm,
enough money to do my life. And
mm,
so when he, left and he said, okay, well, I'm not paying the mortgage on the home anymore, it almost went into foreclosure. I had to call the
mm,
mortgage company and tell them, hey, I'm trying to figure this thing out. I was in an abusive marriage. I've walked out of it. I don't have the money right now. I do want to pay you. I don't want to lose my house. My daughter still
mm,
lives here. And the lady was such a godsend. I cannot tell you her name. I don't even remember the mortgage company. All I know is she said, well, here, what I'll do is I'll take the 3 months that you're behind, I'll put them on the end of your loan, and then we can give you 30 days so that you can pay this next bill. She didn't have to do that, but because I was willing to
Oh,
say the
wow.
hard thing out loud, that, hey, I'm
Hmm.
struggling, I've left an abusive situation, I do not want to lose my home, but I also need help. And so for me,
Yeah.
it was first, I needed to make more money. And I know people are like, oh, it's always about the money. Yeah, listen, for those who are listening in the States, we live in America, it's expensive. For the
Yeah.
bare
It is.
minimum, it's expensive. And so
Hmm.
I started a for profit company because I had a nonprofit at that point. I then started a for profit company and was picking up extra hours. Hey, what can I do? I had to make some more money. And then from the money making side to where, like, in your hierarchy of needs, your baseline needs got to be taken care of before you can get to self actualization. You got to be able to eat and not live under a bridge. So I started creating ways to make more money. And then I got into some therapy. I got into some therapy because I was having such a difficult time processing how I let myself get this deep. And it wasn't the first time. So I can't just blame it on him because it was me too, because I accepted it. People only do what you allow. If you won't allow it, they won't continue to do it because you don't even allow space for that. And I am not at all blaming victims. What I am owning is my own stuff, in that I kept choosing something that I knew was causing me harm, and that's on me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Man,
those were two. That's how I started. Those two.
I love no, you did it right. I love your vulnerability here. I love you kept it real here, and you're a testament to it's not over. You're a testament to it gets better tomorrow. You're a testament to you've been through this. You've gotten through worse. So what else can life throw at you, right? And I think people need to understand that, hear that as you told your story and you told what you went through. It's like you could have easily ended your life. You could have easily said it's over. You could have easily said I have no value. But you decided to do what's hard for yourself and invest into yourself and go make money. Go get a therapist. Go do everything that you needed to do to reset your life, refresh everything. And I think that thank you for the vulnerability. And yeah, man, it's a deep story, and I'm appreciative of you sharing it. And speaking about reset, we'll come out of the deep waters a little bit. Much of your work is with leaders and entrepreneurs who are high performing but burning out. What's the first thing you would do to help them reset? Speaking about resetting.
Ooh, so there's this thing called the Thrive Audit. My co-host and I, for Trigger podcast, we crafted it. And if you go to justthrivenow.com, you're able to download it for free. But what it is it helps you to identify where there are gaps. Again, like I said, most people can't tell you what they actually want, but they can tell you what they don't want. And so what we did is and it's a simple, it's a quick, easy PDF. You could type in on the PDF, but it allows you to identify in 6 primary areas of your life what your life looks like and then what you want it to look like. Then you're able to clearly see where is the gap between what I want and where I'm at. Once you can identify what that gap looks like, then you can take what I call your MVA, which is your minimum viable action. It is the smallest, most intentional step that you can choose to get exactly where you want. Case in point, if you say, okay, I want to run a marathon, the journey of 1,000 miles start with a single step. So if you say you want to run a marathon and you've never run a mile, okay, bet. First things first, let's walk half a mile. Minimum viable action. What are you going to do? Your MVA. What MVA are you going to choose to do that will take you from a sedentary place of where you are to what is not working to where you want to be? The best way to eat an elephant is a piece at a time. You do not have to try and swallow it
Mhm.
whole. That's too much. You're going to choke. And depending on how good you can get it out your throat, you're going to die. So instead of
Mhm.
doing that, just take your MVA, which is your minimum viable action. Take the smallest, most intentional step towards exactly what it is that you want. You don't got to do it all at once, but you do have to take one step.
I love it. Now you speak a lot about we've spoken a lot about value in this conversation. You use that word a lot, and you say it's central to your work. How do you help people discover their true value beyond just titles, money, or achievements?
Absolutely. Listen, we got another one of those on the website too. However, it's there is a discovery mapping tool that I use with a lot of clients, and it's literally 4 pillars. In the first line or in the first column, You list all your skills. I mean, every skill you have, from your ability to double dutch, your ability to braid hair, your ability to,
Love it.
like all of every single thing, like your ability to communicate well, whatever your skills are, list them all out in column A. Column B, I want you to connect and identify what is a problem that this skill solves. I know most people tell you don't look at the problems, and most of the time you shouldn't. However, when discovering your value, you do need to look at the problems. So for every little thing, what does this skill solve? Okay, you braid hair well, great. People hair need to be done. That's the problem. The problem is people need somebody to do their hair. Connect a problem to every single one of your skills. And then in that third column, identify what are jobs, opportunities, things people will pay you for with what you're good at because it solves a
Mm.
problem, right? And then that last one, identify how it makes you feel when you're operating, using that skill, solving that problem, or operating in the role in which people will pay you for. When you identify how it makes you feel on a scale of 1 to 5, you can then select the fours and the fives, and you can not only move and position yourself to either work, operate, or craft and create hobbies in that lane because it brings you the greatest joy, but then you're able to start researching, okay, as a photographer for, I don't know, national, let's say National Geography, right? People pay. Okay, cool. How much do they pay for that? Okay, so now I have an idea on how valuable that skill is. And the reason I equate it to dollars is because most people can understand numbers. Many people cannot understand the qualitative piece, which is the piece that's
Mhm.
intangible. But you can understand some tangibles. You can understand the difference between 10,000 and 50,000. Your mind can easily connect that. So I use the numbers piece so that people can see the value in what it is that they do, because your purpose is usually at the connection of not only your skills and the problems that they solve, but also how it feels when you're operating in it.
I was gonna say that too. It seems like you not only find their value, but their purpose in what makes them truly feel fulfilled,
Exactly.
and that is amazing. You know, a lot of people. I tell everybody, everybody's like, everybody wants to make money, and how do I do this? And they come and say, what do I do? Find what you're good at, then go into the rooms where that value is needed, and just do what you do, and fit. And if you're good at it, you know there's value in it, and you feel fulfilled doing it, there will always be money to be found in that space. I tell people
Absolutely.
that all the time. You know, me and my sister and I, we had a conversation. She was on the pod, and we spoke about how we grew up with a lot of opportunity, but with no value, that opportunity is means nothing, right? We
Very
can
true.
walk into any room, but if we bring no value to that room, it's a, oh, great, we know who your family is, haha, congratulations. You bring no value here, so we'll just give you respect, but we won't give you a check. You're looking for the people that will give you a check
And
for
some
your
respect.
value.
Yeah, we
There
want
you,
both.
there you go.
We
There
want
you
both.
go. We want definitely want both. We want the respect and the check. The respect first, then the check comes later. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Yeah. So with all that you've built, coaching, speaking, writing, what's the next mountain that you're climbing? Let us know.
Me. The next mountain is me. There is so much that I'm still learning and figuring out, and just allowing myself to grow to the next level. Sierra has that song Level Up. And
Hmm.
for me, I consider that in all aspects of life. Like, I know you put me anywhere on God's green earth, I'll triple my worth. That's
Yes,
fine.
sir. Jay Z.
Listen, when I tell you I love, oh my gosh, he's just such a prolific artist to me. Just his ability to change and transform no matter what he's experiencing, to still be able to create and alchemize, that to me
Hmm.
is going to always be just so phenomenal. But the next mountain is me. I want it to be that I'm able to not be swayed so much by the happenings of life, because like you said and we've discussed, I've been through a lot, like more than most people should experience in one lifetime, if I'm keeping it a buck. And also, because I have experienced so much, there's a level of empathy and understanding that I'm able to give to not only myself and to others, but in this next level, next stage of my life, I want to be free no matter what is happening outside of me. Inside of me, there's a level of peace and calm that passes all understanding.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Make sure you take care of yourself for sure. Uh, so as we close out, gotta ask these last two questions for sure. First, what else do you have going on right now? Are there any projects or initiatives people should know about that you have coming up?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we are doing so much with Triggered AF. Head on over to Just Thrive Now. We have a community of folks where every single week we are providing some incredible tools to help people literally create lives that feel as good as they look. Trust me, it is transformative, not just because I said so, but I've worked with thousands of leaders from Australia to South Africa to Europe to the US. And the tools that you're getting literally in that program are life changing. And so there's definitely that. And then we've got some fun stuff coming up this December in Miami. So head on over to justthrive.now.com and you can, get all the information on all of that.
We love fun and we love Miami, so make sure y'all tap in with what she has coming up. And finally, mental health comes up a lot in your story and in your work, but as well as mine. What practices or mindset shifts have been the most important for you in protecting your own mental health while helping others transform? We're big on mental health and in the For Good universe. So we'd love to hear what you do while also helping others transform for your own mental health.
Absolutely. Get you some hobbies that that you will not turn into a business. Now, for me, I be trying to turn everything into a business. I taught myself how to do nails during the panorama, and at one point I was, oh, I can charge people for this, and I had to tell myself, sis, sit down. This is a hobby. We are having fun with this thing. This is just for play. So what I tell people, especially now, because there are so many things that are happening that can and do impact our mental health, get you some hobbies that allow you to just play, to play like you are a little kid, to let go of the pretense, of the perfection, of the, oh, I have to be this perfect being. Get you some hobbies that allow you to play. How I play is I do aerial hoop. And that's where you go to the studios and they have the hoops coming out of the ceiling and you have to hoist your little self up and then swing and do that's how I play. It's one of the ways in which I play. And also I do nails. Like I have like 500 nail designs in my little Instagram little folders. And I just pick different designs and I've been teaching myself. There is no actual professional teacher, but I've been teaching myself how to design nails because that's how I play. Figure out how are you going to play and then allow yourself, make the space and time to play at least 1 hour a week. I'm not asking you for a lot. 1 hour a week, you just play. There is no responsibility. There is no, oh, I did bad. You're just playing. It allows you to release the pressure and remind yourself that not only are you a human doing the best you can with what you got in this moment, but you deserve rest, you deserve play, because in that I promise you will find productivity.
Heavy on the you deserve rest and you deserve play. I was told that a few years ago, like, hey, sometimes just go play. If you go play. If you see your kids running in the field, go run with them. Like,
Right.
just it's good for your mental health. So definitely heavy on the you need rest and you need play. Alechia, thank you for coming on here. Thank you for living your story, telling your story, and sharing your story with others to help them transform. I think, like I said in the beginning, it's super important for people to relate to, for people to know that they aren't the only ones that is going through life and that there are people that have lived it and now are walking testaments out here thriving and shining and feeling good and looking good. Thank you once again, Alechia, for coming on the For Good podcast. Your flowers are always going to be given to you for being a good person in the For Good universe. Everybody, it's your guy, JoJo Simmons. This is the For Good podcast, where we focus on the good, never the bad, where we're measured by what we do, not what we have. We're signing out till next time. You guy JoJo with Alechia. Peace.